Democratic leader.
Oh, quorum? Unanimous consent, the quorum be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Well, Mr. President, this week, Donald Trump is preparing to take a sledgehammer to the American economy by preparing a tsunami of tariffs on all sorts of goods Americans purchase every day. A tsunami of tariffs. Let's be clear. Donald Trump's tariffs are a tax hike on American families. The average costs families will have to pay for groceries, gas, everyday goods, etc., will go up by thousands of dollars a year out of hardworking people's pockets to pay for these tariffs. And Donald Trump has the gall to call his trade war Liberation Day. That makes as much sense as calling a layoff notice a promotion letter. The Trump administration clearly has no strategy or goal behind their tariffs. One minute they say the tariffs will lead to more people buying American-made goods. But Peter Navarro said yesterday tariffs will also raise trillions in revenue. This is a total contradiction. You can't use tariffs to both raise revenue and bring jobs back. The only way you raise that much in revenue is if Americans pay that much for goods made abroad. And that means consumers will hurt most. Donald Trump knows his plan will send costs surging. He said he hopes automakers raise their price, spoken like a true billionaire. Donald Trump saying, I hope automakers will raise their prices? Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, Mr. and Mrs. Average American Family, Donald Trump wants you to pay more while he's giving tax cuts to billionaires. Senate Republicans, where are they? Always they just go along with whatever Trump wants, no matter how idiotic. Senate Republicans should be shouting from the rooftops to get the president to reverse course on tariffs. People in red states will be especially impacted, from farmers to small businesses. Republicans should be swarming the Senate floor with statements calling on the president to change his mind. But their response has been so feeble, so weak, almost non-existent, that Americans are right to question whose side they are really on. The worst part is nobody knows what these tariffs will look like, perhaps not even Donald Trump. He seems, on a slow day, he changes his mind about them only once a day. He seems to change his mind about them almost every hour. This is not what the American people want. Americans and American businesses detest the chaos and unpredictability that Trump brings. No surprise, more and more Americans now disapprove of his handling of the economy. Meanwhile, the S&P is on track for its worst quarter compared to the rest of the world since the 1980s. Consumer confidence is at its worst since Donald Trump's first term. Outlook for the economy is at a 12-year low. Household debt is on the rise. Donald Trump's trade war is playing Russian roulette with the American economy. And it will be households, retirees, consumers, average families that pay the price. Yield the floor. Note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Brooks.
A song by Paul Beckman, Palu, Rainbow Song. Also the new and first leader of humankind in the free world. A Tsunami of Tariffs. That's the title for the song. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. A tsunami of tariffs. A tsunami of tariffs against 185 nations of this world, all except for Russia and Belarus. Oh, so convenient, leave those out, eh? Well, it's all a ruse. A tsunami of terrorists, like calling a layoff notice a promotion. How absurd it is. What do you see? Something's rotten. Look at the USA attacking the world and all its nations. It's going to turn many of our neighbors and allies against the USA. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Stop this madness, won't you please? Donald Trump, Hitler. Stop this madness, won't you please? Won't you, sir? Trump, Hitler. Uh-oh, it's a done deal. He's done it. He's gone ahead and done it. Wednesday, he went ahead and did it. Or was it Thursday? Now you can't undo it. Nations around the world are turning from the USA as their friend and ally. Oh no. Are you committing American suicide? Donald Trump, Hitler. People are going to have to pay so much money from their pocketbook. You decide. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Attacking 175 nations with tariffs is a tsunami of terrorists, would you not say? Attacking 175 nations in this world is attacking everyone. Attacking every nation and every country except for Russia and Belarus. What is the significance of that? Not attacking them, not giving tariffs to them to have to pay. Leaving them out, isn't that personal favoritism? Why would you do that, I say? I ask you now, Mr. President, why have you gone ahead and done it? Attacked 175 nations, our allies, and our neighbors, yeah. Whoa, while leaving out Russia and its evil twin, Belarus. I say, what are you doing? What kind of message are you sending? Hey, 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 I'd like to know. Are you okay? Are you having a bad day? Are you in your right mind? Why do you act this way instead of kind? Acting mean like a bully, attacking an island that's nothing but a speck that doesn't have any population on it, only penguins, and putting a 10% tariff on them. What are you doing? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I want you to think about it. Think about it and do something about it. You're going to give the world a depression not seen since the 1920s. In 2025, you're going to make it dive into a recession and then a depression, the likes of which the world has never seen since the last Great Depression. I'm afraid that's gonna be your election. People are not gonna want to vote for you after you've done this to the world. Attacked 175 nations with tariffs, a tsunami of terrorists. Instead of an ocean that's 14 feet high, you've made terrorists 105. Yes, bear in mind, this is nothing like the world has ever seen, and it's man-made. All by one man, I say. His name is Donald Trump. Hitler, that's right, because you're acting so Hitler-esque. If the name fits, if the shoe fits, wear it. Both songs were created April 4th, 2025. Some may consider them one song, others may consider them two. By Paul Beckman, Palu Rainbow Song. Also, the new and first leader of humankind and the free world. A new country I've invented, using the whole planet as a new country, calling it humankind and the free world, and giving it a government. What is the government? The spark of God in all. It's really life itself. However, for convenience sake, we're calling it a country as well. Here's a GoFundMe page you can go to about the new country I invented. By the way, so far, it's just in my mind. It doesn't really exist. Nobody knows about it, but I did invent it, and for me, it exists. And there's no reason why it can't come to manifest, at least at some point, even though it'll take us into the future and help people generation and generation and generation from now as humankind forges its destiny and journey towards collective enlightenment. Hi there. This is Paul Beckman, Palu Rainbow Song. I started a GoFundMe campaign and called it Humankind in the Free World. Now, I posted it on Facebook this morning, and then when I went to it tonight, it was deleted. I don't know why. I'm just a beginner at doing this, but let me put it this way. When Putin invaded Ukraine, I didn't like that, and then the killing started, and I don't like that. So, I felt that Putin should have been kicked out of Ukraine immediately. The world tried to do it, but then Putin threatened nuclear annihilation against any country that interfered with his war with Ukraine. I didn't like that. I was not afraid of Putin. But I thought, who's going to listen to me? I'm a nobody. So I thought, well, maybe I should represent a country too. So, in my mind, I invented a new country. I took the whole earth and decided to make that be a new country. And as far as the government, I decided to use the government that is already there in life itself. The spark of God. Jah. Universal and void mind, the creative twin aspect of God. So, I did that, and I thought now I could be the ambassador of it, or the leader and the ambassador. And my intention was to try and get the rest of humanity to overcome the fear of death, so that when Putin tried to threaten them again, no one would back down, because they would know that their true nature is the true self, universal and void mind, the creative twin aspect of God, Jah, and that we are actually eternal, constant, do not die or pass away, even though the body may perish. Our true nature does not. In fact, we are universal and void mind, the creative twin aspect of God, Jah. So, this is the opening video for Humankind in the Free World. Yes, I'm the new and first leader of it. Not that I want to be, but I'm the one who came up with the idea, because I have a knowledge of advanced philosophy. I'm a seeker of ultimate truth, and as such, am on the quest for truth, and this just all came into being. So I hope you donate. Maybe this will be deleted tomorrow night, but I'm going to try and do it again. I believe in it. The object is to develop a universal country, a new universal country that can exist while other countries exist, except this is a country like no other. It's really life itself. And I'm just turning it into a country for convenience sake for now. But the object and goal of it is really to help convince the world that we are not this physical body alone, that we are in fact eternal, do not die, or we do not die, not our true nature, constant, forever. And in this way, the world can send to Putin, kick him out of Ukraine, and then dismantle his military so he's no longer a threat to anyone. But the global community needs to come together and do that. Now, that's what I did before. The emphasis, however, is also and mainly on helping humankind to survive so we can become collectively enlightened. And to this end, this country, for convenience sake, is going to help humanity do that, whether it takes several generations or several incarnations. And that's why it's important to get started. There's no reason why we can't go ahead and create a country that can try to do all that. And of course, as we become more collectively enlightened, we'll no longer really have the need of the current economic system we rely on, and we won't even need lots of countries and borders and fences. In fact, the goal is to just have it be one Earth, family humanity, go where you like, follow the sun, no fences, no borders, and there you go. Paradise, the way humankind was meant to be. Thank you very much. Namaste. I honor the divine and all. Hi again, this is Paul Beckman, Palu Rainbow Song. So I started out talking a little bit about the new country I invented. Well, it happens to be a universal country. What's that? That means that while you're in a country, whatever country it is, you can still be a part of mine. In other words, you can be a part of humankind in the free world, even if you're already in another country. How? Why? Well, think of it. All the other countries are a certain landmass. A landmass here, a landmass there. But I've chosen to use the whole world, the whole earth, as a new country. Now, what does that do? Well, it changes everything. In other words, the ultimate goal is just to be one family, humankind, and in the future, all other countries' landmasses will have been discarded as humankind becomes collectively enlightened. I mean, what's the need for it? What's the need for an economic system that we have today that tries to match everything and pair everything up, but still comes out with, in the end, haves and have-nots, and then does not implement compassion anywhere in it? So you could say, okay, well, and so that's why a system has to have the element of compassion in it. Now, here's what I'm proposing. Life already is. That's right. And it's got the biggest government and the only real government that has ever existed. The spark of God and all. Now, life itself was there in creation long ago when it first began. Okay? And it's still with us. And it will be there when eventually, in this beginningless and endless universe cycle, the current universe comes to an end, and when everything collectively becomes enlightened, returns back into itself, and the formed universe then becomes the formless and goes into a void mind state of mind in itself. Now, to us it'll seem like nothing at that point, but it is something, even though it's nothing. And then, of course, all the samskaras that, so to speak, did not have a chance to fully evolve by the time that happens, well, they're stored within the universal and void mind aspect. And when the urge is great enough, suddenly universal mind forms out of that and begins all over again, bifurcating itself into its own progeny, so it's very limited, and it only knows itself more as each sentient being knows itself more as the wave in the sea, and identifies as a wave in the sea, than as the ocean itself, when it really is the ocean. So when you have universal mind forming the creation, limiting itself, throwing in space and time, cosmic illusion, Maya, so it doesn't know itself, then blankets everything with ancient ignorance of its true self, which is universal mind, universal and void mind, then the creation starts again. However, everything evolves through karma, cause and effect. Learn your lessons, cause and effect, cause and effect. Teaching everyone and everything how to become more of a purer being. In other words, for the success of an eventual evolutionary unfoldment, that which is going to be aligned with the Dharma is going to be that which has pure wishes and desires in it. For that's the only way it could ever be, right? And so all other tried efforts at coming up with being on their Dharma will fail when it doesn't contain pure desire and thought in it. Take Trump, for instance. Do you see an ounce of compassion in him? Do you see pure desire and thought of a pure being there? Certainly not. Not really. And so, in a successful evolutionary unfoldment, instead of karma, you're dealing with dharma, another Sanskrit term. And that's where, for instance, you have an eventual highest evolutionary unfoldment. And when you're looking at the Dharma, there's one thing that you have to throw into it. Already complete. So in other words, from our standpoint, we look at things as a sentient being from a space-time perspective. You're doing this, you do this movement, you do that. It's all staccato, one at a time. You don't have the ability to peer into the future. Whereas we only have a sense perception of wakefulness or a sense perception of dream while we're in it. And we do return to deep dreamless slumber, but we never remember anything out of that except for having a very restful sleep. We don't remember when we awake out of it. But each night we do return back to our true self, and that's in deep dreamless slumber. Now, the consciousness of the real state of consciousness that is ours, that is us, that we have, is only when we are back to our true nature. Again, that happens nightly if you're able to enter deep dreamless slumber. And that consciousness, really, is that which observes and witnesses wakefulness, dream, and deep dreamless slumber simultaneously. And we can strive for that, and we should, to learn how to be awake in all three states. But until you have it, we're just going to only be conscious of dream, when a dream, and wakefulness when we're in the wakeful world. Now, when we're only conscious of one state or another, and we're not conscious of all three simultaneously at the same time, then that means, unfortunately, even though everyone and everything is currently already enlightened, we're not aware of it, and so you don't experience it. And so, what holds sway? The particular form that you're being at the time. That, in other words, is being us, of which we get a little tiny small part to experience and think, I'm self-aware, I move my hand, no one else can, I walk, I run. And so we marvel and we adorn ourselves with self-pleasure that we are unique, we can propel on our own. But it is limited because our true nature happens to be universal and void mind, the creative twin aspect of God, Jah. But that's hidden from us for good reason. If it weren't, we would still be in void mind state. By doing this, at least we have a universe, but we must also evolve. So each sentient being is going to eventually evolve to the point and realize they are universal and void mind, the creative twin aspect of God, the spark of God in all. That said, let's get back to the country now. Turning life itself, which is really what it is, into a country is just for convenience sake. Now, how can this be a universal country and that you can be a part of it while you're in any other country? For this reason. The purpose is going to be to try and become a country as a mirroring of the true self. So in other words, whatever the actions that you might think would be of the true self, you want to mirror that. And we want to basically create a sort of universal country that is going to be there to support eventual human collective enlightenment. And so, while other countries may come or go, this one is going to be unique because even if you take away the fact that here I'm trying to make a country, well, it's still just nothing but life itself. And that is going to endure. It has already from the very beginning, from the very start of creation, and it will continue to do so. Now, of course, one of the things that it has that most other countries don't is that as life itself, it has infinite patience, and as such, it can infinitely wait until humankind is ready to become more enlightened. Now, at first it starts with individuals. Individual enlightenment can happen here and there. But for collective enlightenment to occur, it's kind of like watching a garden mature that you plant the seeds of. In other words, everything is moving back to the central sun, so to speak. And eventually will become enlightened. But like popcorn in a pan, there's a few kernels that don't pop. And so that's what's going to become the samskaras. And almost everything else does, those don't, and then that helps create yet another urge, and universal mind forms. And there's ancient ignorance applied, blanketed to all, but then over time we evolve, we learn our lessons, and, well, the end result is collective enlightenment. Now, when that happens at that stage, each being is going to see oneself as God, as Jah, and be able to perceive that in all. So, in other words, it's going to naturally put an end to war and disagreement and all that stuff, for one will be able to love oneself as much as a stranger, love a stranger as much as oneself, as much as a family member. Don't you see? With human evolutionary unfoldment comes higher faculties that will reign in us and help us rein in the primitive layers that we face today which is why we have the world we have. Like Captain Kirk in Star Trek said in one of the episodes, oh, we gave up using money in the 23rd century. Well, it's going to be kind of like that. So eventually, yes, there will be no countries. There will be no borders, no fences. We will be family humanity. It'll be paradise on earth. And I just happen to be the new and first leader of humankind on the free world. A new country I've created using the earth as a model. And that's all because when Putin invaded Ukraine, I didn't like that. I wanted the world to be restored to the way it was, where there wasn't killing happening every day. And so, again, my modus operandi was to create a country, even though it was in my own mind, and be able to be the ambassador of it, speak to the world leaders, and say, okay, yeah, you tried telling Putin, get out of Ukraine, but then he hit back at you. I'll stick a nuclear missile on you, and that'll be the end of you. Everyone backed down. Everyone chose to back down. And then Putin became the referee of his own war. Now we have Trump Hitler, as I'll refer to him as, coming into his own right, wanting to be a wannabe dictator like Putin or Adolf Hitler, and he's showing it. His cards are on the table. People are seeing, oh yeah, he's really trying to be a dictator, and he's doing all these crazy things and stuff. He's got the different factions that are supposed to check each other usurped. He's got the Congress that's afraid of him and they do his bidding. He's setting up a system of loyalists instead of people expert in their field, firing all the others, trying to destroy America. And what's he doing? He's lining himself with the axis of evil, so to speak. Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, pretty much. And when he just put on all the tariffs to the 185 countries in the world, he put no tariffs on North Korea, no tariffs on Russia, and so on. Anyway, so here's a great alternative for you. Now, I watched the speech of Cory Booker and liked it a lot, so I'm going to be making some songs about that. And, of course, I'm an unknown, yet I have something to offer. Now, in GoFundMe, maybe my campaign was deleted because you're not supposed to support anyone in war. I think I saw something like that. Now, that's not exactly what I'm doing, but and I'm not trying to have you donate so I could send funds to Ukraine to help them, because I think in the rules for GoFundMe, you're not supposed to do that. What I'm doing is I'm just simply creating a new country out of life itself and funneling it, because I know enough about the underlying reality that supports the apparent reality that people think is reality. In other words, I am a yogi, mystic philosopher. I love it. I'm a seeker and on the quest of ultimate truth, which is what everyone needs to become, and to question authority of everything around them while seeking truth, so that you can understand what your true nature is. And then at the heart, we are eternal. Our true nature is. And we are not this body. We are not the emotions. We are not the thoughts. We are not the root ego thought I, per se. We are something imperceptible that's much more than that and does not die or pass away. By identifying with that, then we can stand up to Putin. His threats of nuclear annihilation and nuclear holocaust won't hold sway. In other words, we can be like the Christians in the Roman arena, not afraid to die when put to death, so to speak. And then look what happened. The Roman Empire fell, and Christianity, look what it's like today. Anyway, even though we all want to live, of course, living is a very beautiful experience, and we don't want to die. We have to go to the next octave. By knowing your true nature, that it's more than just this body, you can have the courage to stand up to a tyrant and a bully like Putin, who now, because of Trump Hitler's foibles and quirks, wants to be a mirror-like image of Putin, a wannabe dictator, combined with Adolf Hitler. Not chosen heroes I would put in my repertoire. But we have now a president who's done that, and he's trying to do that. And so he doesn't really care. And look, people are disappearing already. They're being rounded up by ICE. If you don't think the way if you don't think the way Trump does, then he's acting like Putin, who has his secret police, and they, limit the media, limit protesters. What happens to them? Then they get put into jail or sent somewhere. He's now making it so no trial has to happen. If someone points a finger to you and you don't agree with Trump's opinions, that's it. That's the end of you. Of course, who would have ever thought that that could happen to America? But by the same token, why didn't the people rise up in Adolf Hitler's time and oust him before he became what he became? Now people need to oust or impeach Trump Hitler, for what he's doing and his administration. Republicans gone mad. MAGA, his base. Anyway, so here we go. Here we have it. Full circle. Now comes an alternative. Listen to Cory Booker's speech. I will be creating songs about it. In fact, so I've said some more now, which makes this video a little longer. How about we create a song? Here we go. Actually, I did create a few songs as an example of what the other songs would be like pertaining to Cory Booker's speech. How about I just include those? Okay, that's what we'll do. But we'll create a real fast, short one to add to those. Okay, here we go. The song by Paul Beckman, Polly Rainbow Song. And this GoFundMe campaign explains the use of the phrase I'm about to use now. Also the new and first leader of humankind in the free world. Again, also the new and first leader of humankind in the free world. That means I took the earth and turned it into a country, a new country that encompasses everyone and everything. In the end, instead of seeing this as a new country, what we will end up doing is feeling like we're a planet, like we're the earth, and that is our new country. We no longer need to be all the other countries populating the earth, this landmass and that landmass. In fact, we're all just family humanity. We all want to get along with one another and be in the Most High. Okay, let's call this song You can now donate and invest in a new alternative, a universal country that aims to be there from now till the end of creation. helping guide and making sure humankind can advance the way it ought and needs to in order to become collectively enlightened. Okay, that's the long title. Now for the short one, let's call it "Let's Do It Right." Created by Paul Beckman, Paul Rainbow Song, April 9th, 2025. Let's do it right, yeah, let's do it right. Let's do it right, let's do it right. Let's do it right, yeah, let's do it right. Let's do it right, yeah. Let's do it right, yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it right. Let's do it right. Oh yeah, let's do it right. Let's do it right. Well, let's do it right. Yeah, right on, right on. Right on, yeah, yeah. Let's do it right. Oh, let's do it right. We'll form our own country now, brand new country. Let's do it right. Let's do it right. Let's do it right. Yeah. There'll be no haves and have-nots in this new country. No, 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 no. No haves and have-nots, because we're gonna all be equal. For God, Jah, vibration, Jah, Jah love is there in the least and the greatest thing. Let's do it right. Let's do it right. Let's do it right. That's where the might is, when everyone and everything is being treated equally, impartially, objectively, lovingly. Now, I can tell you my email. I can tell you the email you should donate to. I can tell you my name. But I don't know what you can and cannot tell when you create a GoFundMe site, so I won't say anything just yet. You have to see it all through GoFundMe. I'm trying to do it as above board as I can. I hope that once I create this, it won't be deleted again tonight after I put it on Facebook today. Namaste, I honor the divine in all. Jah love.